Nice sacrifices in the news for an interview.
Nice
Sacrifice.
What? Who? I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, don't worry. You don't know when you will know. You will know when you know.
What? Please.
You're not a patriotic Nigerian.
Yeah.
That's this
I know him as Kanayo O. Kanayo.
Okay.
That's his name. He's popularly known as KOK, and he was recently on a very popular podcast, and he had a lot to say. In fact, that podcast was quite long. I was surprised at how long it went. But one of the key things that went viral was when he talked about first fruits. When essentially a young person finally gets a job, earns a salary, that first money that they collect from where they work, where do you think it should go? Do you think it should go to your parents? Do you think it should go to the church or the religious center where you worship?
You worship, yeah.
Right? Or do you think it's yours?
If I wanted to give a straight answer, I think it's a matter of personal preference.
God bless you.
Personal preference.
Yes.
Okay.
And what I would say is that don't let anybody goad you into believing you are cursed for doing any other one or any of them. Personal preference.
Okay.
Some people would want to give it to their parents. And your parents are, especially if somebody feels the need to. Most probably your parents might have been the one who trained you. Of course. Might have probably been the ones. I mean, you know they are your parents. There's no need going into all of that. And some people also have gotten that parenthood or that parentage from their centers of worship. Okay. So in some ways also...
It's their spiritual fathers.
Exactly.
That they're giving.
So it's a matter of preference. One or the other. Whichever works for you, okay. But doesn't mean that because you've chosen one, that your own is now, you are now feeling like, oh, you are elite, and the other people that are doing it don't have sense. No. That's it for me. Whichever one you want to do.
Don't look at me.
Why would I look at you? Why would I look at you? It's your turn now.
It is your turn.
I would say, that's what I would say. So if I was, I always bring this thing up to talk about stuff like this. I remember this person saying that, look, I trained this boy my whole life. I sat back in the village. I didn't go. And sent you to Germany. You became a doctor. I paid for everything. Yeah. And the girl you just met in 6 months' time, you are writing a message. She's the best thing that ever happened to you.
Wow.
And this was a man talking to his son. Direct, like it was like the pair. And I thought about it. It really did seem so, because he was writing a message to this girl. He met her 6 months. He wants to get married to her. But in just 6 months,
she's already the
best thing.
Okay,
and we think about it that happened to him. And this father stayed back. In close quarters, I've seen what some parents have gone through.
Exactly.
To
that's where I'm
get their kids to where they are.
That's where I'm going now.
And this is somebody that tomorrow anything can happen, but your parents would always be. So I can understand how that father felt. He was joking about it though.
I don't think it's actually a joking matter. I think it's a matter of culture and how you grew up. I know that when I was growing up, I had always had that insight. My dad always used to tell me that as soon as you make your first earnings, you bring it to us so we can pray for you, so we can speak into it, so that it will multiply. So yes, there is a connection with the spiritual, right? But going through your parents, when you're still under your parents, they are the spiritual conduit to you now. Yes, now. They were the ones that still took you to the same church now. Nobody then carry you go church. So I'm just of the opinion that giving it to your parents and then your parents telling you what to do with it is insightful. To be honest, I think that's the way to go. Now, obviously, for those who tithe, giving a tithe to your church or giving something monthly to God is always there, right? But the truth is, your parents that really put so much into raising you all those years deserve acknowledgement. They deserve to be recognized for that effort. They say that you don't count or calculate how much you used to train or raise a child, but just acknowledging them, it'll give them that joy that, okay, everything they've done all these years, finally something good is coming out of it. Just to give them that little bit of joy. Well, is it worth it? That's just my opinion on this. But you seem to have something else. What? Wait, your first modeling money. What did you do with it?
That's far gone, babe.
Far gone. What did you do with it?
As Mike said, to be honest, in this situation, I believe, see, last, you're a human being, you're grown, right? You sat down, you've worked to an extent. You know what you had to do to literally make that first money, right? When you sit down and think about it, because I believe at that point, it's always a point of, oh, wow, okay, I've actually done this by my hands, do you understand? And then you think about it and look deep within. Whatever your spirit literally tells you, okay, you know what, this is the best thing to do with this. Go ahead and do it. If you literally are one that believe, okay, fine, you pray to God, ask for direction on what to do with money with. If you want to give to your parents probably advise you, or probably, it depends. You're an adult. Please make a decision by yourself. Anyways, in summary, so deviating back to that thing that Mike said about that guy and his father, I think, fine, you said it was a joking situation, but in any case where it's not and where parents actually feel a certain kind of way, I'll say this, right? Literally growing a child up from infants till right now, till like adults, right? I think if the person actually gets to a point where they find someone who they feel is so much of a significant other to them that they can consider to be the best, as a parent, you should be happy. That literally means that, fine, you have done something well, and the person has found that person that they can do life with. Doesn't mean you disregard your parents and everything they do in your life. That's how I see it. Do you understand? Any parent should be happy that, okay, you have twins. If they bring back a responsible person that they feel, okay, you know what, this is the guy for me, wouldn't that bring you some form of happiness?
Of course, there is that joy.
There is
that joy.
But I'm saying that the acknowledgement of that does not disregard. What I'll say is that any true parent, my dad, whenever my dad comes to see me, one of the things he's most happy about is the person I got married to. Yeah, do you understand? Sure. Because it gives him that when he goes home, he tells me he has that peace that, see, no matter what, I know you guys will be fine.
But and I think that alone, have you at any point said he's the best thing that happened to you to your parents' face, like in your parents' face?
Why is he going through his son's phone? It's not a text message. You say
wow, seriously?
No, it wasn't text. It wasn't
text.
It
wasn't You said message.
It wasn't text.
But I'm just.
It wasn't text.
Say,
but on this one, I'm more towards.
Okay, best thing that happened to me in adult life.
Because you see, somebody once said something, and let's look at it, because you see, life can be funny where two people that are unrelated by blood come together to give something.
Same person that can sign document and say.
But then again, another thing I think a lot of people overlook is the fact that, see, your parents started as strangers, right?
But
your parents
are not related by blood.
They're not related by blood, and that's why you are created. That's how you exactly. Meaning that means your child two will become one, and they'll create their own lineage. That's how I see it.
Who said that shit at all?
Yeah, but seriously,
I beg.
You shall become one.
Wow.
But really, you are not your dad and your mom.
They are not blood related. And it's their union and their understanding.
If they put their two, they do DNA test. They do DNA test.
But people don't do that.
If they do DNA test, they don't have any this thing.
So the conversation could even now deviate. Okay, if they're not related by blood, though, who do you now give the money to? That your first fruit between your mother and your father? Is it both of them together, or is it one?
Of course, they're units now. They are one.
So two have now become one now.
My point is that both of them are one. My point is that just looking onto the next generation, as a parent, you should look down and say the same thing that happened with me and my spouse to create this child and their siblings is the same thing that's about to happen to them. So my point is appreciate that journey and that's literally what
so when I talk about first fruit, if I give my parents all my first fruit, what will I eat? If I'm not
it wasn't your parents that were feeding you all those years.
So I'm just saying,
did you starve? Did you die?
If it's me now, I will
Please.
I will give to my parents.
Well,
by the way, my producer and my director is on one day. Allow me to show I will show his picture somewhere. That guy. But hey, come on, what are your thoughts? Who would you give your first fruit to?
Give it to your babe.
Comment.